Hello, and welcome to the 14th video in my Punishing Grey Raven lore series. Today we'll be going over the second released EX chapter, Extra Stories Chapter 1, Granblue. Previously in Chapter 12, Grey Raven, along with everyone else that we've encountered on our journey, joined Babylonia in defending Kowloon from the Ascendants. Grey Raven once again confronts Alpha, and her identity as the original Lucia is finally revealed. Lucia suffers another crushing defeat and is given a new specialized frame to rejoin the fighting and save her team. After the war, Kowloon is left in ruins, with Chu defeated and the Ascendants successfully stealing the Huashu AI, with the most painful loss of all being Lucia herself. Now we enter a new era of Grey Raven, full of challenges and new allies. But first, we enjoy a long overdue vacation.
Wake the fuck up, samurai.
After the war, we are back on Babylonia with Hassen praising the efforts of Grey Raven and the other task force units. As a reward for all of our hard work over the past few missions, Hassen decides to give us a vacation. We go over potential locations when Nicholas suggests a recently secured amusement park. We take his recommendation and leave to tell the rest of the team. We tell Lucia about the vacation and she happily agrees, with us leaving to go tell the others. While on our way, Lucia thinks to herself, wondering if she's acting how she truly feels or if she's just playing the part of the Lucia that Grey Raven wants her to be. However, these doubts do not last long, and the two continue on. Back on the bridge, Hassen asks what Nicola is planning, as he was a little too enthusiastic, suggesting Area D as our vacation spot. Additionally, they both hint at Lucia's hindered combat potential due to her sealed memory data. Nicola says it will be fine since other combat teams are coming with us, and all of these things put together means that our plans to have a do-nothing vacation just went right out the airlock. Changing the topic, Hassen asks where Cerberus went as their signals disappeared off of Babylonia's radar. Nicola says they are on a secret assignment and would rather not disclose the details, and Hassen lets it go. In another location, we see Cerberus making their way to their mystery mission, directly from the Kowloon front lines. Everyone is boarded on the transport and is on their way to the amusement park, flying over the clear blue waters that seem to wash away the bad experiences of the nighter. We land, and everyone embraces the leisure atmosphere, watching as the signs light up and display the name Venus Splash Park in bright neon colors. Liv goes over some details about the park when the rest of our vacation group arrives. Ayla, Sophia, and even Karenina, who all made their own series of excuses in order to join us on our amusement park excursion. Even though the virus concentration is extremely low, it's not zero, and we encounter a couple infected machines. We clear out the mechs, but don't think too much of it, as it was expected for us to run into at least a few corrupted. Flashing to earlier in the day, on the same beach, we see Luna and the other Ascendants discussing their plans to kill someone named Shom, with Alpha herding him into their trap at the park. Back with the vacation squad, we relax on the island, enjoying the sandy beach and salty ocean air. Lucia is having a hard time getting into the vacation mood, and intends to stay on guard to defend against any more corrupted attacks, when Liv sneaks behind her and starts a water fight. Commandant watches from the beach when Liv and Lucia suddenly approach to pick his mind about what he wants to do after the virus is eradicated. To this day, no one has given much thought about what to do after the virus. Not Commandant, not the FOS instructors, not even Hassen himself, since the virus is all anyone has ever known, and a resolution to the conflict has yet to present itself. Kamui overhears our conversation, and before long, everyone gathers around to join in the discussion. We joke around and gang up on Lee, speculating on what type of career he would have when the world returns to normal. When Chrome and Karenina suddenly jump up, on high alert, and notice someone sneaking around. We scan the area, and Liv finds traces of Construct Vital Fluid, but this specific type is from early Construct models, built in the post-pandemic age. Suspecting the Construct might still be around, we search the beach for more clues. We follow the footprints of our mystery construct and track him to the main entrance of the park, where we find him heavily wounded. We move in to subdue him while Liv provides emergency repairs. Unable to identify him on our own, we call Asimov. He does a scan and says the construct is connected to the Ascension network. We ask Asimov if that means he's an Ascendant, and Asimov is hesitant to call him that, since Ascendants seem to come in different types, like Chu and Kowloon, and this construct may not be the type that we are used to. Asimov talks to the construct on a public frequency, and he asks to be killed to prevent his hidden content from making its way into Luna's hands. We prove that we are not with Luna, and the construct begins to open up. when suddenly a figure drops from the sky and kicks up a cloud of dust. As we regain our sight, now standing before us is our good friend Roland. He takes the construct and enters the park, closing all the gates behind him, installing us with the corrupted he left behind. We beat the corrupted and unlock the gates when the construct breaks free of Roland's control and flees deeper into the park. We try to fight past Roland, but he is weary of us, and instead of a head-on confrontation, he calls out to Kamui, who throws insults right back at him. But Roland clarifies himself that he wasn't talking to Kamui, and whispers a strange word that causes some type of signal interference over the comms, but not enough to cause any real lasting damage. That is, until we see Kamui, who is reeling in pain. Roland repeats the phrase, and the double impact drops Kamui to his knees.
Fall.
Lee empties his guns and creates an opening for us to grab Kamui and retreat back to the beach. We have Asimov take a look, and he tells us that Kamui's mind has been sealed, and he can't access his own body, leaving his frame frozen at the moment he was sealed. We begin going over plans to get Kamui back to Babylonia, when he suddenly stands back up. Before we can be relieved, Kamui gets into a combat stance and questions why he can no longer hear Kamui's voice, and at this point we assume the person in control of Kamui's body is Kamu, who is a suppressed consciousness inside Kamui's mind. We go over what happened with Kamui, and Kamu goes to find Roland when he begins to tremble and suddenly collapses. We try to approach him when without any warning he lunges forward and attacks Commandant. His viral density begins to rise, and everyone pins him down to give Liv enough time to put on a mind buffer to calm him down. Unable to fix this on our own, we once again call Asimov, who works his magic and tells us that whatever Roland did turned Kamu into one of the pseudo-ascendants like Chu. He decides to rename these not quite ascendants as transcendents, as they exist outside both normal constructs and typical ascendants. Getting back on topic, Asimov explains that Kamu is unable to properly use the frame since the special security authorizations were transferred to Kamui, and Kamu is unable to make use of the frame's functions. Asimov uses Commandant as an access point to connect into Kamu's mind, restoring functionality to the frame and giving us directions to find Roland. Kamu rushes ahead into the park to hunt down Roland and very quickly gets the fight he was looking for. The two come to blows, and Kamu is steadily pushing Roland back, who uses his shotgun to put some distance between them. Before Kamu can re-engage, a PA system goes off and warns Roland of an intruder in the lower levels of the park. Roland uses the same phrases earlier to stun Kamu,
Cease.
before returning to hunt down his main target. The rest of the group catch up after the fight, and Asimov tells Kamu to wait before chasing after Roland, since their first priority is the safety of Kamui's frame. Asimov sends down a spare frame in a surgery cabin so he can move Kamu's consciousness into the new frame. Not wanting to admit it, Kamu is worried about Kamui's condition and reluctantly agrees to Asimov's plan and lets his mind be transferred.
Oh no, he's hot!
Afterwards, we place Kamui's frame into the drop pod that returns to Babylonia, and we resume tracking Roland. His tracks lead us to an abandoned service hatch, and we prepare to dive in when Liv stops us, saying the virus concentration is too high for any of the normal constructs to manage, making the lower levels of the park a dead zone. So Kamu, being a transcendent who is already integrated with the virus, enters in himself. Kamu falls down the shaft and finds himself in a massive underground cavern. He quickly gets to work since Kamui's condition gets worse as more time passes. Kamu explores the underground area and finds the park's control terminal. He opens a path for the above-ground group to enter further into the park when we cut to Roland. He is speaking to Luna about his minor setback with Kamu, but that their main plan is moving along without issue. Roland suggests he act on his own, but Luna shoots down his idea and dismisses him. After he leaves, he questions himself, wondering what Luna's true motives might be, as he can tell she is hiding something.
I just wanna get her all alone on a mattress.
Next, we pick up with everyone's favorite red-headed kennel master, along with the rest of Cerberus, who are in the park on their own independent mission. Kamu opens up different pathways in the park, and we decide to split into teams to investigate further. Sophia and Ayla head to the indoor arcade, Chrome and Karenina search the Ferris wheel, and Grey Ribbon takes the aquarium. In the underground, Kamu turns to leave when his instincts kick in, and he blocks some virus projectiles fired by Lamia. Lamia tries to distract Kamu by going over their plan to get him connected to the Ascension network, but he doesn't like pointless conversation and charges directly at her. She keeps trying to talk him down, even offering him a new frame. None of it seems to work, and he continues to press her until she is cornered. His blade crashes down, only to hit nothing as Lamia's projection is dispelled and she slips away. Back on the surface, Sophia and Ayla return to report on their progress, where they reveal that once again, Nanami, who just so happens to be everywhere important, has made another appearance. Raven reports that they encountered Cerberus, leading us to speculate what Nicola might be up to since he commands Cerberus personally. We contact Hassan, and he says he will check in with Nicola, but we should be focused on finding Shom, since his information might prove useful. We try contacting Camus to see if he can make his way back to the group when multiple explosions go off around the park. No doubt the work of Cerberus. After we get over the shock from the explosions, the Ferris wheel turns on, giving us a new path to explore. We assume it was Vera's doing, as the Ascendants would have no reason to allow us further access into the park. Back with Camus, he rushes to escape the underground area as the entire park foundation begins to collapse due to the support structures being destroyed by the previous explosions. Pain. Pain is unpleasant. It hurts. Most hate the thought of pain. Not Vera. She loves it, relishes it, because pain can only occur if one is still alive. Pain serves as the proof that you are still fighting to survive, and to Vera, that's a feeling she can never get enough of. That's why the dead silence is torture to her, and allows her mind to wander and think of unnecessary topics, like the conversation she had with Nicola before being deployed. She barges into Nicola's office, demanding to know why Cerberus, an elite strike team, is being deployed on a simple recon mission to an innocent water park of all places. Nicola dodges all of her attempts to find answers, only giving her the bare minimum explanation. This infuriates Vera even more, as she reminds Nicola that her cooperation is reliant on him providing her with pain and suffering. Her task is to track down Shom, and in return, Nicola assures her that there will be no shortage of pain where she is going, and with that, she gives in and accepts. After she leaves, Nicola gets up and connects to a terminal, confirming with a mysterious someone that Vera agreed to the mission, and despite the unsavory methods, the goal of retaking Earth is getting all the more near. Vera opens her eyes after the flashback and confirms the status of the explosives with Noctis before giving him the go-ahead to light the fuse. Vera talks to Noctis, confirming that all of Shom's possible escape routes have been cut off, what seems to be the true goal of the explosions. Noctis asks Vera if she's sure that she wants to be this upfront about their task, but it looks like she no longer has a choice. Just then, Grey Raven arrives and surrounds Vera, who begins taunting Lee over his status as a Corona deserter. Noctis throws a smoke grenade, and Vera escapes while we are blinded. We regain our bearings, and all the commotion calls the surrounding corrupted right to us. Some time later at Vera's location, Noctis asks if perhaps seeing Lee made her envious enough to want to leave Corona. She takes this as well as you would expect her to, and has 21 wring his neck before setting off the rest of the explosives. Back underground, Camus is steadily climbing his way upward, cutting apart the steel beams to use as platforms to reach the top. After a while of repeating this, he reaches the ceiling of the pumping room and even finds a hatch leading to the surface. However, the hatch is covered by strange black and red growths, both unnerving and extremely tough. Camus tries breaking them apart to access the hatch, but his current power output is far too low. Knowing he is so close to the outside world, he tries a Hail Mary and sends a signal to Commandant from within the blackout zone. His signal just barely gets through, and Karenina comes up with a plan to blow the hatch open using the safety mechanisms. Both her and Lee work together to hack into the control system and clear the hatch for Camus' ascent. We wait to see if the correct hatch was opened, and not too long after, Camus appears. He tells us about his encounter with Lamia when Liv reveals a number of Ascendant signals coming from the other side of the plaza. We drop the conversation and head through a recently opened passageway to confront the Ascendants. Somewhere in the park, there is a man resolved to die. He gives his final farewells and reflects on his past actions. We soon see that man, Shom, on the ground as he is approached by Luna. She asks if he's made his peace and slyly asks if he said his goodbyes to his friends and family, knowing well that he has none left. Shom asks that she not play games in his final moments and urges her to get it over with. Shom wonders why it is that Luna wants him dead, since he's confirmed that it's not due to her wanting his information. She says that his death will serve as his punishment after squandering the gift of rebirth that a merciful agent had once given him, and that his death will be a wake-up call to the others that humanity is not worth saving. Gabriel arrives, having destroyed all of Shom's information backups, and Luna gets to the point, trying to have this finished before Grey Raven arrives. Luna motions, and the large shark statue behind her begins to move, revealing itself as a defense robot disguised as the park's mascot. Sharksphere walks over to Shom and devours him from the waist up before returning to its place on the pedestal, with only the crunching of gears and dripping of vital fluid being audible. Soon after, Greyraven arrives at the plaza and witnesses the aftermath of the violent execution, with construct remains scattered throughout the area, and in the middle of it all stands Gabriel. We approach Gabriel and prepare to fight, ready to show him the power of the new Greyraven. Unfortunately, he has also changed, and speaks one of the same strange words that Roland did earlier, only his are far stronger.
I hope you bulletproof for this about to hurt. Die.
He brings everyone to their knees, with only Kamu and his resistance to the virus being strong enough to act. But it isn't enough, and Gabriel makes his move first. He rushes over and grabs Commandant, blasting him with waves of virus. The world goes dark as Gabriel relishes in his victory, when multiple grenades explode above his head and distract him long enough for a red flash to come in and drag Commandant away. Vera has arrived, and seeing the near-dead Commandant, she stabs him in the chest with an adrenaline shot. Liv comes to take over as Vera returns her sights to Gabriel. The two inch closer to one another and engage. They exchange numerous blows, and Gabriel activates his wings, flying around the plaza. Vera slashes at Gabriel as he flies past her, and he taunts her combat capabilities. He goes in for another charge, when Noctis showers him with grenades and armor-piercing rounds. Vera calls 21, and she levels the building behind him, momentarily trapping Gabriel under the rubble. With that, Vera says that she completed her goal and intends to leave. Gabriel questions why she does not go in for the kill, when she admits that killing him would take another war on the scale of Kowloon, and that's too far above her level of authority. Her goal was to grab a copy of the ASNet network model off of Gabriel, using a device that Asimov gave to her. Just to provoke Gabriel further, she turns on her comms and speaks to Gabriel using his own frequency. Vera also tells Gabriel that despite his best efforts, Cerberus managed to locate Shom's research, and with that, she jumps on a nearby building to make her escape. Gabriel reignites his wings and flies after her. Back with Commandant, who is still on the brink of death, he is able to hear the final message left by Shom before he died. On an infinite loop is Shom explaining that he witnessed the eventual collapse of the Ascension Network and made it his mission to spread the news. He tells Commandant that all of his knowledge is condensed into his spine, knowing that it would still be accessible even after his death. He finishes recording and heads into the plaza to face his pursuers. Commandant regains consciousness, the pain of the corruption and Vera's adrenaline shot finally bringing him back to his senses. He looks around the area and finally lands on the Sharksphere mech. Knowing what must be done, he orders Greyraven to prepare for combat.
Get back, nigga! Get!
We lure the mech out of the hologram, and it reveals its true self, using its head as a ball and chain. We defeat the mech, and finally exhaustion takes hold, with Commandant passing out. A few days after the Ascendants had supposedly left, Hassan sent in the support engineering forces to rebuild the destroyed sections of the park. Commandant watches over everyone, with Lucia and Lee helping transport support beams, Ayla arguing with Karenina, and the rest of the group seems to have just disappeared. He notices someone alone by the Ferris wheel, and having nothing better to do, goes to socialize. There he finds Vera, and takes the time to express his thanks for her saving his life earlier. Vera is taken aback at his comment, thinking that can't be the only reason for starting the conversation. Lee interrupts and confirms that's just the kind of genuine person Commandant is. Lee, also having stopped by to express his thanks, does so, and they turn to leave, with Vera mentioning that she'll be a free agent soon, and will be in need of a new toy, Commandant. Need of a new Commandant. Later that night on the beach, everyone is relaxing and enjoying the facilities as a real vacation, since Hassan gave them the time for Commandant to recover. Celica even sent over a transport craft full of summertime mission supplies, including inflatable ducks, pool noodles, and quote-unquote undersea warframes, so everyone can be beach ready. Karenina and the engineers run a power check on the electrical facilities, and the park lights up, with even the fireworks display accidentally going off, as we finally get to enjoy a much-needed break.
どうよ。アイラにデザインさせた服だよ。今回はルシアに勝ったよな。おい、早く言えよ。黙ってんじゃねえ。来年もまたここに来ような。みんなと。
The next morning, Asimov calls and lets us know that Kamui has made a full recovery and is being sent on the next transport over. Sophia and Nanami come over with Kamu, who has also been swept up in the beach mood and is wearing his new summer outfit. Kamu has a flashback to what happened in the drop pod, and there we see Hassen speaking to Kamu about working not with Babylonia, but with Grey Raven specifically, and how he will be a crucial part in the counterattack against the Ascendants. Back on the beach, Kamu tells Commandant about his talk with Hassen and decides to trust in Kamui's faith in Grey Raven. After the events of Kowloon, Watanabe and Jamila are having a secret conversation about their next steps. Jamila reveals that she knows about the remote link chambers and that it could be related to the next phase of Babylonia's plan. Watanabe reciprocates by sharing information he received from an unknown Ascendant about who and where their next target would be, and explaining why Sophia was present at the park. At the same time after the war, the Ascendants are gathered and discuss their next move after taking Huashu. They have the access key, but still don't know where the main body is hidden, and send Lamia to find out, as Gabriel and Roland head to the park to make their preparations. Some time ago in a hidden research lab, Shom waits, watching the results of his experiments. The corrupted swarm outside the lab, burning themselves on the electrical barrier, attempting to get the shot of punishing virus Shom is holding in his hands. He walks over to the console and records the results of his experiments, titled Experimental Ascension Bodies, those that can pass the filtering process without the control of the punishing virus or influence of an agent. He sees a warning notification appear on the console near him and takes out a black cube containing all of his experimental data and hides it on himself, before activating a shutdown procedure on his lab. On his way out, he encounters Roland, and after a short talk on their victory in Kowloon, Shom says something quite interesting, that he is an Ascendant, but not one chosen by Luna, meaning that Luna and her group are not the only ones capable of creating Ascendants. Roland asks if Shom will be coming with them on their next mission, and he firmly denies, bidding Roland his farewell before leaving down the corridor, and Roland does the same, but heading the opposite direction. Gabriel shows himself, and is listening to Roland complain about why he can't just kill Shom outright, with Gabriel saying they must keep him alive to weed out all of his labs. Roland relents, and they turn to leave as the lab explodes, consuming the remnants of Shom's research in the fireball, with Gabriel saying that all the pieces are now in place, and the operation can officially begin. Some time before the events of the park, Roland waits in Luna's hideout. He confirms with her that Venus Splash Park has been fully investigated. However, he is still weary of the scar-faced man, and whether or not his information is trustworthy. Luna eases his doubts and directs his attention to a video screen, where that very same man is displaying Shom's current lab coordinates, wishing everyone a happy hunt. Roland asks why Luna would want to show him this, and she explains that they want Shom dead by any means, but also need to destroy the entirety of his research. Luna calls for Lamia, Roland, and Gabriel to split up and head to the park, while Alpha prevents any other factions from interfering with their business. We skip ahead and see Roland and Gabriel on a boat headed to the island, where they will set the stage for Shom's execution. Picking up with Alpha in the desert, she stops at an abandoned building surrounded by craters. She notices a large pile of bodies, and underneath, a transport craft with the name Shunsuke, Shom's uncle. She heads to the control center, likely to be Shom's first stop, and there she finds signs that the building has been frequented by more than just Shom, so she searches the outside and finds human supplies in the tripwire. Then Forsaken guards appear, discussing the capture of a mysterious Ascendant who was being held captive inside of the building. Alpha eavesdrops on the guards' conversation and when they discover her bike, she swiftly knocks them out and walks into the building. Alpha lurks in the shadows, watching the situation in the control room as Watanabe interrogates Shome, who says that he's only here to use the transport craft behind the building. He is of course refused, and activates a grenade of some sort that blows up the main room, giving him a chance to escape to the airfield. The Forsaken rush outside to see Shome already in the air, and Watanabe orders fighters to chase him down, when Alpha suddenly appears and stops them in their tracks. Watanabe orders his men to focus on Alpha, intending to show her how much the Forsaken have grown since Kowloon. Alpha tears through the surrounding Forsaken members and meets Watanabe, who uses his daggers to block her relentless slashes. He asks what the Ascendants are scheming, and Alpha says a simple hunt. He senses Alpha laxing from her speech and finds an opening. He knocks her blade into the ground and jumps off its false edge, using gravity to try and land a devastating downward slash. Alpha raises her sword and the two clash, knocking each other back. Seeing that Watanabe actually managed to damage her, she offers him a ceasefire so he can take the wounded Forsaken and Alpha can get back to her mission. He accepts, and as she leaves, asks what Shome did to be targeted like this, and Alpha says he was chasing after a false truth. Lamia, Gabriel, and Roland wait on the island and just take in the scenery. The park is like a moment frozen in time, filled with the childlike innocence of the person it was built for. Luna suddenly appears behind the three and begins to hand out their missions. Gabriel will deal with the energy center that supplies the park, Roland will be left to set traps throughout the park, and Lamia will sit at the top of the observation tower to handle any air forces. Luna leaves and the three discuss what they will do. Gabriel will turn the underground into a dead zone, and Lamia will control the virus around the island to summon more corrupted. In the plaza, Luna is sitting on a bench looking at the Shark Sphere mascot. She gets up and approaches the mech, touching it and releasing a crimson bolt of virus. The mysterious Scar Man from earlier contacts Luna and says that Babylonia and the ARU are working together on a not-so-secret project, but Luna shoots him down, saying the business with Shome is more important. Having been told off, the man disconnects and Luna waits, feeling the changes below the ground and in the air, knowing the show is about to begin. Roland is sitting on the Ferris wheel watching over the island when he spots the Grey Ravens arriving at the same time Shome landed on the opposite beach. He gets up and heads in Shome's direction, encountering Grey Raven on the way. During his fight with Kamu, he sees he has the upper hand, but is called away before pushing Kamu any further. Roland leaves, firing a chain from his gun and pulling out a detonator mid-air. He presses the trigger and a series of explosions ring out around the island. Roland lands in the theme park, but without his signature smirk, instead wearing an expression of barely concealed rage, and leaves the rest of the preparations to Gabriel. In the underground, Gabriel hides out of sight, waiting for an opportunity to ambush Shome when he appears. Shome arrives in a near panic when discovering Roland was on the island, but still he continues, since there's a slight chance of victory if he can complete his task. He works the console, when the production line stalls and Gabriel makes himself known. Shome tries stalling for time, asking if Gabriel would like to aid him since his interest lies in machine modifications, and Gabriel naturally refuses. However, the moment Shome needed finally appeared, and the floor of the control room gave way, plunging Gabriel into the abyss below. As he falls, he sees the floor under Shome is completely intact, but before Shome can count his blessings, Gabriel unfolds his wings and begins to ascend back to the top. Shome retrieves a blue chip from the console and heads for the surface, with Gabriel in rapid pursuit. Shome manages to reach the elevator and gets to the surface while Gabriel deals with his security measures. Shome reaches the plaza and heads for the Shark Sphere statue to try and buy him more time, when a soft yet imposing voice rings out from behind him. A voice Shome fears greatly. His mind goes blank, and he runs his hardest to reach the statue, knowing that she is someone he could never hope to beat. Yet somehow in front of him is Gabriel, who was just locked underground. He launches a blow at Shome, the impact stopping him cold and dropping him to his knees. Listening to the light footsteps behind him, he knows any hope he had of escape just vanished. Luna approaches and mocks Shome, asking if he has any more trump cards up his sleeve, and he says they were all rendered useless when Luna herself appeared. Despite knowing this day would come eventually, Shome thought the risks were worth it to reveal the presumed truth that Luna was hiding. Luna frowns at Shome's statement, and Gabriel smashes his head into the ground as retribution. Luna raises her arm and uses the virus to forcefully keep Shome conscious, despite his frame wanting to shut down. Shome admits that everything happening to him is simply the price to learn the truth. Luna pushes further, and he says the Ascension Network is a communication protocol, with its power essentially being granted through a port. But this comes with strict requirements. Anyone who connects and is able to survive the constant filtering becomes an Ascendant. And while they get access to the virus's power, they are endlessly screened by it as well. If they were to ever fail a filter, they will be reduced to a mindless corrupted. Luna listens, completely unimpressed, as this is all information Ascendants already know. Then he says something quite shocking, that not all Ascendants are chosen by the virus or by agents like Luna. They both seem to know of an experiment called Lullaby, that birthed the first artificial Ascendant, but not being chosen naturally led to other Ascendants surpassing this one in strength. But still he remains an Ascendant, the Ascendant Shom. He claims that with this part, he can manufacture an army of Ascendants who can survive the filtering and go on to dominate the planet. Shom offers to work with Luna when she finally cuts him off. She approaches Shom and presses her hand to his forehead. His expression shifts from fear to excitement, then confusion and disbelief. Luna asks if he can finally see the truth of what actually happened, what that person did to him during the experiment. She continues, saying that Shom's plan was baseless, foolish, and built on a foundation of falsehoods. After crushing his spirit, she turns away from the soon-to-be dead Shom and looks at the Babylonians coming to the plaza. After the ordeal, Luna waits at the entrance of the park. Roland jumps down from the roof and asks if he should deal with the Babylonians. She says no and that she is content with Shom as their goal for the day. Alpha connects, saying she is on her way, and Luna sends Roland away to help Gabriel. Luna heads to the beach to meet Alpha, but Roland does not move. Instead, he watches Luna, noting her strange behavior before leaving to find Gabriel. Some time later, Luna confirms the results of the operation with Alpha, who asks why Luna looks so unhappy. Luna fixes herself, having just become aware of her strange expression. Alpha suggests that they relax on the island since Luna doesn't have their next steps planned out. Lamia appears from nowhere, having been invisible, and praises Alpha for the idea of doing nothing when she feels a cold sword on her neck. Alpha berates Lamia, and the scene manages to get a chuckle out of Luna, who agrees to just rest on the island. Later that night, when the Babylonia group is on the beach, the Ascendants move silently along the boardwalk, Lamia reveling in her chance to do nothing, although she immediately kills off her own mood with negative thoughts. Alpha asks if she wants to set off fireworks, and the fish is instantly back in high waters as she slithers down to the beach carrying her new treasure. Alpha takes Luna to one of the beach shops and gives her a Shark Sphere plushie, and Luna returns this favor by blessing us with fan service.
I'm gonna need that. If you get that.
Out of nowhere, she asks Alpha what she would do if they could return to being normal constructs, and Alpha says she will continue to be by Luna's side, as that's her only objective in life. Luna stops, and Alpha questions her further, with Luna saying there might be a possibility. Shom's research has another side, one that he never considered, turning back to their origin, or in other words, turning an Ascendant back to a construct. The two stare at each other in silence until Luna speaks first, saying that she is tired, and they go to sit on a park bench, with Luna leaning on Alpha's shoulder. Some machines appear on the beach begging instruments, and Alpha zips over to silence the noise. She eliminates all the machines and returns to Luna, who has long since been awake. The two share a moment, they head back down the road they came from to meet with the others, and after the two leave, Roland appears out of the shadows, having been watching the sisters, and seeing her with Alpha makes him question Luna's priorities. Yeah, no, sorry, I tried. I don't have an excuse. Believe me, I hate this gap more than anyone. It's just that school stuff was not letting this happen. Anyway, I'll be quick because I don't want this video to be any longer. So starting off, just in case Shom's research confused anybody, his research was the creation of Ascendants outside of being selected by the virus, and he assumed that it was possible because he thought it happened to him, and what Luna showed him was that he was actually chosen by one of the agents, and his whole theory was flawed from the start. Next, another thing throughout the chapter is there seems to be some tension between Luna and Roland, especially when it comes to Alpha, so who knows? Maybe we could see like an outright conflict soon. And that would be pretty cool because we know that not all Ascendants follow Luna. So maybe there might be like a fracture somewhere along the line. And another thing is nobody really mentioned Lucia having just died. Most of that happens in her interlude, which is a pretty good read. If you get some time, you can check that out. Yeah, that's about most of it. Let me end this now. All right. Well, hope you all enjoyed the happy fun time scenes, because it's all downhill from here. And I hope to see you all in the next video. We will cover the third released extra story chapter, EX3 Fern Knight, which I promise on everything won't take this long. I've even already started the script. Anyway, bye.